very personal topic for me, and of which I have immense interest in. And I must say I've been a student of this gentleman known as Dr. Steve Covey. I think Steve Covey is well known worldwide, specifically because of one of the books that he first published, known as The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that book has transformed a number of people, transformed organizations, and I think most people tend to ask, what is so unique about this book? And I hope today I can be able to sort of break it down in terms of my understanding of why I feel the 7 habits of highly effective people are so important, not just at the personal level, but also to be able to help you improve and become better at who you are at work and also at your social life. Dr. Steve Covey was able to really break the 7 habits of highly effective people into 3 key areas that you need to succeed. And the first area, appropriately, which I agree with him, is in the private life. And then the second aspect was in the public sector, or public life, so to put it. And he had the third one being what he called renewal. And we'll talk about this in a minute. So when it comes to being able to succeed, especially in your private life, the first 3 habits are the most important. Habit number 1 says, be proactive. And I want to put it in the most Kenyan way possible. Being proactive is not just about being able to hustle, it's really being able to understand that you are the one that drives the change in your life. Why is being proactive important? Because being proactive makes you know that you cannot blame circumstances, you cannot blame your genetic lineage, for example, you cannot blame the environment in which you grew up and say that things aren't working simply because of where I was born. Being proactive means you're in charge of your life. You're the one that is on the steering wheel in terms of the circumstances in your life. And that really underscores the first habit, be proactive. Now, you may ask me, what about if somebody is not proactive? If you're not proactive, you tend to wait for things to happen. You tend to wait for circumstances to be appropriate. You tend to hope that good luck will come your way, or you tend to hope that if you play maybe some betting game, or if you try any of these online games, that you might become lucky. That really is not about being proactive. As I said, being proactive is about taking charge of your life and being able to have a very clear plan and being the one that is on the driver's seat taking charge of that. That is habit number 1. Be proactive. Habit number 2 says, begin with the end in mind. And this is a great habit. Why is it important to begin with the end in mind? Most people don't know where they want to get. They don't know exactly where they want to be at the end of the year. They don't know where they want to be in 2 years, where they want to be in 10 years. Simply put, most people don't really have a blueprint for their life. So beginning with the end in mind challenges yourself to say, where do I need to be? And if I need to be at point Y, for example, and I'm at point X today, what do I need to do to get to that point Y? It is important to begin with the end in mind. A very simple analogy that the author uses in his book is, ask yourself today, if it was your funeral, if people came in to a mass and they were remembering you, what would people say? What is it that you valued the most? What was most important for you? What did you focus on? And that challenges you to think about, because I think all of us have one eventuality. As I said, there are 2 things in life that are for sure. One is death, the other one is taxes. So beginning with the end in mind is important because it allows you to be able to plan, what do you need to do to get to where you want to be? And that is habit number 2. Habit number 3 is actually, of course, again, very important, says first things first. Why is habit number 3 important? Because it allows you to be able to prioritize your life. We all tend to get caught up in so many things. When you wake up in the morning, you have a number of assignments that you need to be able to follow up, a number of bills. For those who are parents, you have a number of things you need to follow up with your kids. And you get so overwhelmed in terms of, what do I do first? And that is the same thing at work. So habit number 3 says you have to be able to prioritize. Things which matter the most must never be at the mercy of things which matter the least. Unfortunately, most people tend to spend a big chunk of their life on things that are not really as important. And nothing could probably explain that further than knowing, if you look at your 24 hours and the way in which you spend it, think of it this way. There are 4 boxes in life that are always going to be there. Box number 1 is things that are an emergency, they are a crisis. You know, your electricity is off, you need to pay for electricity. Your internet is off, you need to pay for internet. Box number 2 are things that might not necessarily be urgent at that particular time, but are very important. Spending time with your kids, spending time with your teachers, finding out about how they are doing in school. You know, being able to spend time with your parents, visiting your relatives, doing community work. All those are things that are important but not necessarily urgent. Box number 3 are things that are urgent and also important. You don't really have a choice, you have to work on them, you know. But we have this notorious box, we call it box number 4, where things are not urgent and not important. And again, some people may want to shoot me, but I also believe gambling falls into box number 4. Spending time, for example, watching, you know, the football games, it shouldn't be at the expense of spending time with your family or with your kids. So habit number 3 is important, and that really defines, of course, being able to succeed in your private life. Now, if you look at the public life, he also puts in 3 very critical habits, and which brings me to habit number 4. Habit number 4 says, think win-win. You don't always have to be winning and somebody else has to lose. And that is important. Some people have lived their life knowing that if I'm not the one who is winning, somebody else cannot just take it in. It is possible for you to actually have a win-win. It's what we call scarcity mentality, where you focus on knowing that I have to grab for somebody else to be able to lose. Habit number 5 is about listening with the intent to understand. How do you want somebody else to listen to you if you don't want to listen to them? Seek first to understand before being understood. Habit number 5 actually says, learn to put on the lens of somebody else and see exactly what they are trying to communicate. Now, if you look at habit number 6, which is also important in the public sector, it says synergize. That the sum of 2 is better than 1. The sum of 4 is better than 2. That when you are able to tap on people who have strengths in areas that you don't have, when you're able to pull in a team and working together in synergy, you're able to achieve a lot more. You're much more successful, or likely to be successful, when you work with other people. The more a team player you are, or the more synergistic you are in your work life, in your personal life, the more likely you're going to be able to succeed. And that really sums the 2 areas that Steve Covey talks about. As I said, the private life, where you have, you know, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, for example, first things first. And then, of course, the public sector, where first and foremost you think win-win. You know, you seek first to understand and to be understood, and of course, more importantly, synergize. The last habit of renewal is about sharpening the saw. And I'd like to finish with this. Why is it important to sharpen the saw? Because, as I was told once by one of my former bosses, that which is not growing is dead. Always be growing was his motto. And that probably sums up what sharpening the saw is about. You need to be able to improve. You need to be able to grow and become better in your spiritual aspect or your spiritual life, in your physical health. You know, you need to be sharpening yourself, exercising, being able to burn calories. In the area of education, learning a new skill and being able to become better, reading and studying. You have to be able to improve. You know, in communication, there are many areas that you can look at within which you need to be always continuously be growing. In fact, scientists tell us that those that continuously learn new skills are more likely to be able to avoid some of these diseases that are associated with the degeneration of the mind. For me, synergy is important. You have to be able to grow, you have to be able to becoming better, not just in your physical health, in your, of course, your spiritual health, in your social aspect, the way in which you engage with people. You have to be improving. And that, ladies and gentlemen, sums up the 7 habits of highly effective people. It's one of the areas that we teach as part of value addition in the top 100 sessions, and I look forward to working with some of you who are in various parts of the country and working with patients, that you may become better and improve at your workplace, but more importantly, that you can also be able to share and teach somebody else about these 7 habits of highly effective people. Thank you so much.